Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Harakakwadash. And I'm saying double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So we got Vocab Malone, also known as Haman or Haman. And he can also be called an Agent Smith. He's back, and I mean he's still in the UK and Brit, and he is doing I guess a little talk to these Christians, I guess, and once again trying to so-called educate the people of Britain that, oh, you got Hebrew Israelites here, and here's what you need to know all about them, right? So he's on this hate-fueled endeavor, because that's what it is. It's a hate endeavor to try to so-called educate people of the land that the Israelites are spreading and that we're growing and that you guys need to do something about it. That's his whole point, right? It's a waste of time because, first and foremost, we're out there on the highways and byways boldly proclaiming what we believe in and who we are. We're not hiding anything. We don't hide any secrets. If somebody comes up and asks, how'd you get started? We're going to go back to 1969. We're going to talk about our elders, high priest Ariah and One West School, all that. Ain't none of that no secret. In fact, all the information you've obtained is from brothers who was back at the old school and what we taught. It's not it's not something hidden, So this traveling to try to teach people who the Israelites are and what you need to be worried about. Like I said, it's hate. It's a hate fuel endeavor because it all boils down to he doesn't like the fact that we call ourselves special. On this earth, the people of the Lord are considered the non-desirables, are considered the poor. Nobody cares for them. Nobody go out of their way to ask how thou doest. Nobody speaks up for our behalf. Nobody is speaking for us. And the Lord brought us to that low estate for an example, for a reason, to show that nobody on the planet cares about us than him. And when we betrayed him by playing the whore, by jumping into bed with these other nations and their gods and adopting their philosophies, that he gave us over into their hands to show us that since you want to be with them so bad, I'm going to give you into your hands and you're going to see how they treat you. So we've been trodden down for hundreds of years. And then just as prophecy, he says in Revelation 11, he's brought the truth back to us by way of Elder Abba Bivens. And the truth started to come on the scene during the 1969. And then here we are, all four corners of the world, proclaiming our true nationality once again, that we indeed are the Israelites. And the Most High is a so-called black man. And Yahweh Shai, the Son of Man, is also a so-called black man. But you have certain people who, like Vocab Malone, who we believe to be Haman in the reincarnation, upset at that fact. He's upset that we call ourselves special. He's upset that we call ourselves the Israelites. Lord forbid the people who were poor, trodden down, stripped of all heritage, land, displaced, discriminated against. Lord forbid that those people be special at all. And it's nothing new. We read the scriptures, you see the history. The heathen hated when we went to rebuild our temple. Read that in Ezra and Nehemiah. They came and tried to hinder our building because their whole life, like Vocab, his whole life is dedicated to bringing down the Israelites, making Israel no more in remembrance. That's his whole goal, right? But here's a question that he was asked at the end, and you're gonna see him kind of get a little what's the word I'm looking for? He was put on a spot, and I guess he wasn't expecting that. But this is what happens when you probably don't need to be doing these. Sure, I'll answer this question. You probably don't need to be doing that anymore because you're gonna have somebody in the audience who's gonna know a little something. And they're gonna confound you. But here's what happened.
Here. Hello. Just to let you know, we've only got 3 minutes on this one. But in terms of the Hebrew Israelites, obviously claim that reference to Gentiles in the New Testament is a reference to Jewish diaspora that's been Hellenized. what verse would you go to sort of break that connection in their minds, in their exegesis of Scripture?
Great question. One thing is to go to the discussion of the Hellenized Jews, the widows in Acts who are receiving less in the food distribution. Because what I'll say, if I say, look at this verse about Gentiles, and they'll say, those aren't Gentiles, those are Israelites scattered in a Gentile state of mind. Just called Gentiles, but they're actually Israelites. I'll say, oh, you're talking about a Hellenized Jew? Well, Luke knows how to describe a Hellenized Jew. He describes them right here, but that's not what's being described here. So what you're looking for exists as a category in a sense, but it's not what's being talked about right here. So why aren't they saying that? Because it is somewhat of a different Greek word, first of all. And the other thing I'll do sometimes is ask them for basic lexical proof for that claim. Someone had a last question. I think we could maybe do one more.
You didn't provide the verse. You didn't answer the question, man. And actually, we do acknowledge what that word says there. Because he said Luke, but he didn't quote any scripture. What is he talking about? Because the guy knows. Obviously, that guy knows about the Israelites. That's why he asked the question. You know, them Israelites, they talk about the Greeks in the scriptures pertaining to salvation are Israelites who were Hellenized. What scripture would you go to try to make them think otherwise, that it's not talking about the Israelites that were scattered? And he said, first go to Acts chapter 6, which we're here now. And it says, and in those days, when the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Now, he said that Luke says that Luke, which he didn't quote any scripture, he said Luke describes what's happening here because we didn't go into the word. He said it. He said, you're not going into the word. But if we go to the word, G1675, Hellenistus, or Hellenistus, and you'll see it says a Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. Used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So what is he talking about? Because when you do go to that word, that is what's being described there. And he said that we don't. We do. It's right there. But you see, he wasn't expecting that. He wasn't expecting somebody to use really the argument of an Israelite to say, how do you disprove that that's not talking about Israelites? And for all we know, that could have been an Edomite. I can't see him. Let's just say he was a Edomite or of a nation. He heard about the Israelites. He hears our argument. He's going and studying the words too. And he's sitting there like, well, it does say a Greek-speaking Jew. So he's asking Vocab, okay, well, answer me this. Show me where you can use a scripture to prove that that's not talking about an Israelite. And Vocab didn't have an answer. And you saw how he just tried to say, oh, okay, I think we got one more question here. No, you didn't provide the verse like the man asked you to. You're supposed to provide the verse, right? You're supposed to provide the verse. He didn't do it. Now, he could say, well, we were low on time. Well, if you're low on time, why are you asking for other questions? You should have expounded on that question to finish that question, but first trying to run to somebody else to ask another question for the time. No, see, you got stuck. You got stuck. And it's quite simple. Let me read this. I just pulled up Agent Smith, right? Because that's what he is. Right? He's a protector of the Matrix. Agent Smith, you already know in the Matrix, says, what was his purpose? Smith was created by the architect along with his fellow agents to protect the Matrix. See, that's his goal. The goal of the Agent Smith was to ensure that everybody stayed asleep in the Matrix. Those who separated themselves from the Matrix, aka woken up, that's who the agents were after. He wanted Neo because Neo was going to wake up, and Agent Smith's goal was to what? Destroy Jerusalem. That was his goal. I want to destroy Jerusalem because all y'all are free. Yeah, so Vocab is just another Agent Smith. He's a what's the word? He is someone sent by the wicked elite to maintain this so-called white supremacy structure. That's his whole goal, is to ensure that white supremacy reigns still. And when we teach that we're Israelites and that we're special, he has a problem with that. So that's his whole goal. And he's fueled by hate. It's just a hate-fueled endeavor to stop us. And his angry is that you guys are calling yourselves special. You can't do that. You just need to come back to Christianity, basically just go back to sleep and stay in the matrix forever. And that's why he's traveling the world trying to warn people, you guys need to be aware of the Israelites. Everybody knows who we are, man. We ain't hiding. There's no secret. You could have simply invited an Israelite there if you really wanted to hear our side, but you're not going to do that. It's pathetic. Isaiah 13, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. Shake that hand means what? You lifting up your voice, you rebuking, reproving, you're teaching, that they may go to the gates of the nobles, meaning that this message is going to reach the gates of the nobles. The gates of the nobles represents the leadership of the land. A good example is Abraham, when he lied that Sarah was his sister. As soon as he walked through those gates, because the word gates means leadership, represents leadership. When you walked into a city or a new town, you had to state your business. If you're trying to just lodge there for a second, if you got business there, if you're looking for a home, whatever, and the whoever entered into that land, the king knew about it. That's why when Abraham and Sarah went there, he said, look, tell you my sister. And then that message got to the king, said, look, we got these Hebrews here. And his wife is very beautiful. Sister, very beautiful. Really bring her here. I wanna. So that's how, whenever you enter into land, you reach the gates of the noble, the king. It reached the leadership, because everybody had to know who was in their land. So when we go out here and teach, our message has already reached the gates of the noble. It's already at the door. They avoid us. They don't want to talk about us. So we're not a secret. We go out on the highways and the byways. We teach openly. Anybody can come up and ask and try to talk to us. We explain and we defend the gospel correctly. So dealing with the Hellenistas, right? It's not hard to understand the Hellenization. Did I have that pulled up? Yes, I had that pulled up, right? The Hellenization. If you look up Hellenization, it tells you right there, Hellenization or Hellenism is the adoption of Greek culture, religion, language, and identity by non-Greeks. In the ancient period, colonization often led to the Hellenization of indigenous peoples. In the Hellenistic period, many of the territories which were conquered by Alexander the Great were Hellenized. So, you know what colonization is? That's when people come, take the land, and then they shape and change the people's doctrines and philosophies to their own. That's what the Greeks did. And we have the history here in the book of Maccabees, which is recorded during the Greek to the Roman Empire. Chapter 1 says, and it happened after Alexander the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetam, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. The first king over Greece, or Greek, was Alexander the Great, which is just biblical prophecy. As he said, it was going to be the Babylonians, then it was going to be the Persians and the Medes, then it was going to be the Greeks. And Alexander the Great was the one who did that, right? Verse 7, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 137th year in the kingdom of the Greeks. Oh, look at this. Next verse. In those days there went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. right? So this device pleased them well. Then certain other people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and they forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Now, if you jump down, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers in Jerusalem and cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. Right? So you can keep reading, but he forced the Israelites into what? Hellenization. They were Hellenized. Many went willingly, some were forced. Many of us were forced to be what? Hellenized, to be Greeks. And that's why when you get to the New Testament, you have a sect of Israelites who had maintained the Israelite customs, and they looked down upon the Hellenized Jews, which they were known as Greeks or Grecians, which were Hellenized Jews. And we read the definition in Acts 6:1, which he says we don't go to, which we just read, and is telling you a Greek-speaking Jew, somebody who adopted the Greek speak and customs. And if you go to 2 Maccabees 4, this is dealing with Jason. And we think we know who Jason is today. It'll be revealed soon. But again, it says 2 Maccabees 4. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored under hand to be the high priest. Promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and another revenue against 8 talents. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have a license to set up a place for exercise, and for training up the youth in the fashions of the heathens, and wrote them of Jerusalem by name of Antiochus, which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand to rule. He forthwith brought his own nation, the Israelites, to the Greekish fashion, and the royal privileges granted of special favor of the Jews by the mean of John, father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amenity and aid. He took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he had gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashion. So you're seeing the adoption was what? To the Greek fashion. That's called Hellenization. When you colonized the people and turned them into Greeks, it was called Hellenization. So when you read the scriptures and you see the Greek word there was Hellenistus, in the English, you read it, it'll say Greek. So automatically you're thinking Greece. So you're thinking of a so-called white man. No, you go to the word there, the Greek, and it's Hellenistus, and you say, oh, the Hellenistus, that's the Hellenization of the Jews. So it was Jews who were speaking Greek. And as you can see, most of our people willingly did it and forced our people under the hands of the heathen to adopt the Greek speaking tongue, the philosophies, all of that. Now such was the height of the Greek fashions, and increased of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest. So we don't know what this guy's talking about, but we acknowledge what Acts 6 says and what the word there says. And you failed to produce the scripture to debunk the Hellenization of the Jews, or what you can run to, like the man asked you to. So yeah, you failed. And we don't, the Israelites don't need you to explain to anybody who we are. It's no secret. It's no secret, right? But at the end of the day, he wants a carnal retaliation. He wants to initiate a carnal retaliation. That's what it's going to boil down to. Best believe, you got to remember, this is still an Edomite here. Edomites cheat. They cheat. If they don't get their way, they resort to what? Violence. And best believe, the Don's going to come with that devil. He's going to say, all right, I had enough talking. We need to actually do something like physical. He's going to resort to violence because he's a coward, man. That guy's a coward. He only feels that he has this courage to stand up against the Israelites because we're considered the poor and the trodden down. That's it. He's not going to go up there and do a talk on the Talmud and then educate the people on the teachings of the Talmud and how that's the Babylonians' way and how it's against the Messiah. And yeah, he's not gonna say nothing about that. He's gonna cower. Like he's gonna cower. You know what I'm saying? The moment somebody even mentions it, he's gonna want to change the subject right away. So he's not a real advocate or apologist for the Messiah. That's a damn lie. First of all, the word apologist means to defend. As Philippians 1:17 says, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. And the word there in the Greek, apologia, which means to defend, verbal defense. And it's primarily talking about the defense of the Messiah and that he rose on the third day, because they were mocking the resurrection. They were also just mocking the existence of the Messiah. So if you call yourself an apologist for the Messiah, you have to defend him. And if it's one group that he refuses and he will not defend the Bible against, or do a video on, or go on stage to talk about and do all this thorough research, he won't talk about Judaism or the Talmud. He's just a coward, you know, coming against the Israelites because he knows we're poor, right? And we're harmless. So he feels like, oh, I can come against you all because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, you guys don't have no land. Nobody cares about you. But you ain't going to say nothing when it comes to those people. You're going to cower, right? This man's just a coward. He's fueled by hate. Okay, he's an Agent Smith for the Matrix. And in the end, he's going to resort to just say, look, we're going to have to he wants to initiate a carnal response. You know, he's mad that other people don't see us as the threat that he sees us. He's mad that other people aren't as mad or concerned as he is. All right. And in the end, he's going to try to be one to try to initiate a physical. He's going to slander us like they always do. He's going to slander us. And he's going to try to initiate some type of insurrection against the Israelites. But the scriptures already tell us that it's prophesied that there's going to be an insurrection towards the believers. So you won't do anything that's going to surprise us. If anything, you're just validating that we indeed are the Lord's chosen people, because ain't nobody trying to come after you and lock you up for your beliefs, right? But they were going to come after the Israelites. Psalms 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. That's what Esau Edom. Because at the end of the day, he's not a spiritual man. He resorts to violence. When he loses the argument, when he sees that he can't get his way in the argument, he just pulls out his sword. Because that's the manner of this man. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't plead or reason by peace or by reasoning. He don't do that. He said, I got a gun. I'll just use it. I'll just use my weapon. That's how he resorts. If he can't get his way, he just brings out the weaponry. And that, in the end, that's what Vocab's going to do. So all you Israelites out there who think Vocab's cool, you think he's your friend, right? You think he's cool because he comes and talks. Man, at the end of the day, he's going to resort to violence to try to get us off the street. Best believe that. That's what this is all about. Trying to rouse up a crowd to get them all. We got to go do something. Look, how many times are we going to have to hit you with the scripture here? Second Corinthians 13:8. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. So thank you for educating those people about who we are. It's going to, some of them might be Jakes, and it's going to require them to go deeper in and do more research to prove that, oh, this is the truth. And hey, thank you for spreading. Thank you for doing our job for us. This guy here, Mr. Agent Smith, Haman, Agent Haman Smith. Shalom.